This is the Louie T Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Louie? Yeah.
Overtime! So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Dolphins, Panthers, another ass whooping. And we're at the point now where we've hit our Dolphin fatigue. And I talked about this already. You knew what this was. I told you we were done. We didn't want any more of this. And you know who I really feel bad for? Dolphins fans. Because they're the ones catching the most flack for this. Because their team doesn't give a shit. Their coach already said they don't give a shit. They don't take it home. They don't care. You know why? They still getting their check on Wednesday. They don't give a shit. But you know who is going to have to hear this? Dolphins fans. They're the ones getting beat up. And it's embarrassing. You know what I used to always tell when my team was really bad, when I'm a Redskins fan, when my team was really bad, I used to always end my speech to the fellas with, hey, please just don't embarrass me tonight. Because you have to answer to everyone who wants to know what the hell happened tonight. I don't know. Don't ask me. I wasn't on the sideline. I wasn't in the locker room. I don't know what the hell happened. But everybody wants to know. I mean, what the hell happened out there? Why are y'all so bad? And it's one thing to get you, and I've said this for such a long time, and I've found this to be so true. It's one thing to get your ass whooped in anonymity, okay? When you get your ass whooped on a Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock, when everybody else is paying attention to their game, it's okay. Like, we might see it in passing, like, damn, you just lost 40-0. But we're going to keep it moving because we don't really have time to focus in on your ass whooping. We got a game to concentrate on, whether our team is currently getting their ass whooped or in a competitive game or they're whooping some ass. You're more consumed with your game and what happened in your game, or if you're playing at 4 o'clock, what's going to happen in your game, than worrying about somebody else getting their ass whooped. But when it happens on primetime television, for everybody to see, it's embarrassing. If I'm going to take an ass whooping, I'd much rather do it in the anonymity of 1 or 4 o'clock, okay? Let me kind of just blend in with the rest of the games, and you might see it at the bottom scroll, say, damn, Dolphins got their ass whooped, but at least you thinking to yourself, whew, I didn't see it. I just know they got their ass whooped. I see that Cam Newton has accounted for 4 touchdowns, but I don't know what really happened in the game. I just know they got their ass whooped. You might see a couple of highlights and say, damn, the Dolphins stink, but you didn't watch the game. We've watched the Dolphins get their ass whooped 2 out of the last 3 weeks. We've watched the Dolphins be outscored 85-21 in their last 2 road games. We got to see that personally on television with no other games on. You can't hide. You can't run. You're getting your ass whooped, and everyone's getting to see it. It's bad. And in between those 2 ass whoopings, you lose at home to the Raiders, who aren't really that good. So it hasn't been good. And that's why I've been asking. And finally, they're not at or above 500 anymore because they don't deserve to be. Nor should they ever have been. But because they had played a weak schedule and they had some circumstances and some scenarios play out in their favor, i.e. Marcus Mariota being hurt when they played the Titans, they were able to stay afloat. But this shit has gone on long enough, and I knew the Panthers were going to put a stop to it tonight, and now they're under 500, and I don't expect them to return over 500 for the rest of the season. Good riddance. Carry your ass somewhere off in the corner and continue to have a downward spiral this season because you don't deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence with playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, no, not you. Not you. Don't talk to me about playoffs. And for those of you who continue to complain about the quality of games on primetime television or just the quality of games overall this year, I can't defend this. the league, I can defend the league in saying that the Dolphins made the playoffs. A lot of you forget the Dolphins made the playoffs last year. Yes, this same Dolphins team made the playoffs last year. And they couldn't predict that Ryan Tannehill was going to go down before the season started. They couldn't predict that Jay Cutler was going to have to come in and be their starting quarterback. They couldn't predict that the Giants were going to be horrible, or all of these teams that we've seen on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. They couldn't predict that the Broncos were going to have a mess at quarterback and that we'd have to endure them against the Patriots and against the Giants. They didn't know. They couldn't have known. And so all they can do is go off of what they saw last year and what the expectations are going into the season. They never know. That's why they're scrambling trying to get Jacksonville on national television now in one of these flex games, because they're like, hey, they're pretty good. They play defense. Why not get them on television? They didn't know. They couldn't have known. Jacksonville stinks every year. Why would they think this year was any different? I don't know. But you got Miami. If you thought you were done with Miami, and I told you this earlier, before the season started, I said, I hope Miami's good because they're going to force them down our damn throats. And I told you there was a 3-week stretch where they put them on every single primetime platform they had. Thursday, Sunday, Monday, 3 weeks in a row. And they said, you're going to get your fix of Dolphins football this year. And just in case you miss one of those, we'll put them on later in the season against the Patriots. Just in case you missed one earlier. So we're not done. And no, you can't flex out on Monday night. So we got one more ass whooping for the Dolphins on deck later on in the season when they play the Patriots. I'm not looking forward to that one either. And so let's just forget about the fact that we have to watch them again and talk about the Carolina Panthers, who did the ass whooping in this game. Enough with the team that got their ass whooped. Let's talk about the team that did the ass whooping in the Carolina Panthers. And last time I checked, the game's not on anymore. There's no reason to. Last time I checked, it was 45-21. Let's just assume that's going to be the final score. But in any event, excellent night for the Panthers. And it's amazing. And being a Redskins fan and watching a game that had a similar kind of flow to it. The game never got this far out of control, but it turned on one pick before the half. And the Redskins game was 17-14. Vikings go down and score and make it 21-17 for those of you who didn't see the game. And then Kirk Cousins throws a pick, and they score another touchdown right before the half to make it 28-17. And then they get the ball first to start the second half. And they score another touchdown, and just like that, it's 35-17. A game that with 2 minutes left in the first half, 3 minutes left in the first half, the Redskins were winning the game 17-14. And with a minute and a half left, the Redskins were only trailing 21-17. And by the next time they touched the football, they were down 35-17. That's what a pick right before the half can do to a game. It can change the whole complexity of a game. And this game, a lot of people forget, because it seems like an eternity ago. The score right before the half, the Dolphins actually got a stop, forced a punt. It was 10-7. It's 10-7. And then Jay Cutler makes a boneheaded decision to throw to Julius Thomas with underneath coverage of Luke Kuechly. Wait, what did he think? Luke Kuechly wasn't going to turn around and locate football? I don't know. I don't know what he thought. But this ain't that type of party. Whatever he thought, this ain't that type of party. He turned around, located ball, picked it off, and from that point on, the onslaught was on. They score a touchdown before the half to make it 17-7. They get the ball after half, make it 24-7, and the ass whooping commenced. And we find ourselves at 45-21, and it's going to be another victory for the Panthers, and we fully expected this. No one expected the Dolphins to win, nor be competitive for that matter. I don't think anybody really expected them to be competitive in this game. We haven't seen anything that would lead us to believe that they would have been competitive in this game. And so shout out to the Panthers for doing what they were supposed to do to a bad football team in the Miami Dolphins. And they've got a chance to sweep that entire division. Why not? You took care of the hardest team in that division in the Patriots already. Now you've beaten the Bills and the Patriots, arguably the two best teams in that division. Now you're going to make it a perfect 3-0. And then the next game you play will be against the Jets to try to go for the clean sweep of the AFC East. And if I'm you, don't be like the Falcons and squander opportunities to beat teams in the AFC East. It's not a good division. You're not supposed to lose to teams in that division if you don't have to. The only one that was supposed to beat you was the Patriots, and you took them out. So now go for the gusto. Sweep that whole division. And I'm looking at the Panthers right now. I still don't trust them. I still don't fully trust them. But I'm looking at this team, and I'm saying to myself, with the way that they're running the football with Newton now, because remember, the run game was ineffective for a little spell there. The offense in itself was ineffective for a little bit of a period there. But with the way they're running the football now, and really it's Cam Newton's effect that's giving them this jolt in the run game. And like I said, I'm uncomfortable with him being as big a part of the offense as he is, because if anything, and I mean anything, happens to Cam Newton, physically, this team's done. They don't stand a chance at all without one. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Nope, it's number one. And Cam is his name. Super Cam. They don't stand a chance without that man. They call him Super Cam for a reason. Okay? He does everything, and I mean everything, for that Panthers offense. And so while I'm not comfortable with him doing as much as he has to do that. And when he does do that, they're a dangerous team. And that's the only reason I look at them and I say they could win the division, easily could win the division. They're right there. They're a half game back. Now, granted, they got to go to New Orleans and win. That's something that they're not afraid to do. Family business can be conducted anywhere, anytime, any place. You know how it goes. So they don't have a problem going into the Superdome and going to get one back, because New Orleans went into their house and took one. They don't have a problem going and getting that back. But they still got they got to go to Atlanta. They got to go to New Orleans. So I'm interested to see how that division is compelling football. There isn't another division in football that is as compelling as the NFC South, because even though there's a tight race up in down in Jacksonville in Tennessee in the South, in the AFC South, there's not another compelling division like this one, because this is still a 3-team divisional race, and all 3 of those teams are good. I'm not willing to write off the Falcons just yet. They got a lot of work to do, but the Falcons still have 2 games versus the Saints, a game versus the Panthers, and if I'm not mistaken, they still have Tampa, I'm trying to think, twice or once. It doesn't matter. They've got them at least once. And they've got a chance to do some serious damage in the division, clean up the entire division after just the one loss to Carolina. So, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, they're not out of it either. You know, the hardest part of their schedule is behind them. They've got this game against Seattle on Monday night, and after that, I think things will probably get a lot easier from outside of the division, obviously. Okay? But in any event, like the Saints, they still got some tough games coming up. They still got the Rams. I'm not sure, but the Saints may have... Nope, they don't have the Vikings. They have the Lions. So I know they got the Rams for sure coming up. So they still got some tough ones coming up. But in any event, this division is so wide open. And the Panthers, they're right there. And with Cam playing the way that he's playing, this is reminiscent of 2015. This team is scary. Offensively, I have my doubts and reservations. We saw the drops from Russell Shepard in this game. We saw Curtis Samuel go down with an ankle injury, and he was dropping a rock too before his injury. There's still questions offensively with this team. There's still aspects of their offense I simply do not trust. But then you got to think to yourself, Grego! At some point, Greg Olsen is coming back. Do you know what kind of a boost he's going to give to this offense? And then you still can trust Ed Dixon. Had a nice touchdown grab tonight. Games like this make me mad. It pisses me off because the running back position is no country for old men. And I am so ready to push Jonathan Stewart's ass off to the curb and have him picked up like yesterday's trash and put Cam Renard pain in the game. But when he runs like that and when they have as much success, they're not going to sit his ass down. He would have needed another game like last week where he fumbled twice and stunk it up for them to say, all right, man, sit your ass down. Hey, Cap, you're in. Let's see what you got. He had a nice touchdown run tonight, but he's not going to get the adequate touches because Jonathan Stewart is still hogging up the carries that he should be getting. So games like tonight make me upset because Jonathan Stewart is still going to get the football. And I think when it's all said and done, he's going to hold this offense back more so than help them move forward. But in any event, they look good tonight. Damn, they look good. They had an answer for everything the Dolphins did. I thought my favorite part of the game tonight was when Cam went up to the line of scrimmage, identified double A-gap blitz on a 3rd and 7, went up to the line, made an adjustment. They made an adjustment to the adjustment, changed the protection, then changed the play to a quick screen to Devin Funchess. Dolphins sell out with the double A-gap blitz. They throw the screen. It's the perfect play call against that play. Everybody's coming up the field towards the middle of the field. They hit him with a quick hitter on the outside. Funchess off to the races for a touchdown. That's quarterbacking 101 at its best right there. And Cam Newton, when he's on and he's effective and he's efficient, when he's running, when he's having fun, he's dangerous. And the way to get under his skin and to get him to play reckless football is to have guys making mistakes. Like early in the game, when he threw across his body, he was upset. He was already pissed off. If you read his lips after Curtis Samuel jumped false start. So what the f you doing jumping false start? You all the way out there, man. What you doing? He was pissed. 2 plays later, he throws across his body and damn near throws the pick to T.J. McDonald. He was hot. He was already out of his element. They had him. But they picked up they overturned that call. They ended up getting points out of the possession. He was able to calm down. And after that, it was fun from that point on for the most part. Especially after the Luke Kuechly interception, the touchdown right before the half. They started having fun, man. And he started having fun. And when he's having fun, when the game is fun, he's dangerous. When he's running the football, that 68, 69-yard read option, come on, man. Stop. Shame on the Dolphins for letting him do that too, man. Gosh, they're garbage. But this offense, if they can play like this more consistently, look out. Panthers, all of a sudden, are major players in the NFC playoffs. Now, like I said, I still got my reservations. I know what this defense is about. This defense, front 7 and up, is legit. I got a ton of questions and concerns about that secondary. I think you can move the ball against that secondary. But can you block them up front is the question. Can you stop them from penetrating the pocket or getting to your quarterback or stopping you from having a run game and being balanced? That's the question because you got to identify where 59 is. They blitz a ton. This is not your Sean McDermott Carolina Panthers. This is not that group, defensively. Steve Wilkes is blitzing these boys left and right. You want some, you can get some on 3rd down and long, okay? You want some, you can get some on 2nd and long. You can get it at any time. Like, they're not afraid to send the dogs after you. And so the question is, can they hold up in the secondary? I love Mike Adams, but he's like 87 years old. I am not a fan of the other safety, the bum. You know who I'm talking about. And then you still got young boys on the outsides. You know how I feel about Worley. And the other one is starting to grow on me. Blackberry. Why did I just call that man Blackberry? Bradbury. He's starting to grow on me, man. I wasn't a huge fan of the pick when they made it. It was so early to take him, and I didn't see it at first, but he's starting to grow on me. I'm a Daryl Worley guy myself. I like what the young boys are doing out there, and they're continuing to grow and mature. in the secondary, but I don't love your safeties. I never love your safeties. I mean, let's just be honest. That position has always been okay at best in Carolina. They hide their safeties well. I'll say that. But, boy, that defense is ferocious. You know, and it's amazing that the DNs are getting better. I never thought Mario Addison would be anything more than a rotational depth defensive end. And he's morphed into a solid starting defensive end in this league. We know the interior of their defensive line is the strength of their defensive line with Starr and KK, those guys in there. And then they added Vernon Butler. They're just nasty down there in the trenches. And then you go to the outside with Charles Johnson, who's 97 years old. And then they replace him with J-Pep at times, who's 107. So, but those guys still get pressure. So it's a really good mix of guys that can still get it done at a high level. And then the linebackers are ridiculous all the way across the board. And so it's just speed on top of speed on top of speed, awareness on top of awareness on top of awareness. And those guys get it done at the highest of high levels in this league. And so their front seven, I got a lot of respect for those guys. And I think it's the front seven that really makes this defense. You saw it on the 4th and 1 stop. They had no chance, none whatsoever on that 4th and 1 because that front is just ridiculous. This is a defense that you pretty much know what you're getting when you play the Carolina Panthers. If you can somehow neutralize their front seven, you got a shot to expose them. If you can't, it's going to be a long day. And the Dolphins, they really couldn't do that tonight. And so it was a long day for them. And for the teams that haven't had success against Carolina, that's been the problem. They haven't been able to neutralize. We saw Atlanta struggle in 4th and short situations last week. Couldn't neutralize the front seven. They couldn't convert in 4th and short, and they end up losing the game. Now, granted, they had some mistakes, but that's nor here nor there. That's not the Panthers' problem. The problem was they couldn't block that front. Excuse me. I mean, and so this is a dangerous Panthers football team. You saw it tonight. They were clicking on all cylinders, offensively, defensively, and when one feeds the other, when the offense is moving the football and scoring points, the defense then kind of reciprocates that action. They go out. Now they're feeding off the energy of the offense. They go out, and now they're causing havoc, and they're creating turnovers. They get the football back to the offense, who's feeding off the energy of the defense. Oh, they got us another turnover and another short field. Let's go make it happen. And then they go out and get more points, and then it just becomes an avalanche. And we've seen this team do this before. Now, it hasn't been since 2015, but we've seen this movie before. It looked a lot similar to this, where the defense gets into a rhythm, and the offense starts to feed off of the defense feeds off of the offense, one begets the other, and next thing you know, they got 45 points on the scoreboard, and you don't know what the hell happened. The Dolphins don't know what the hell happened. They looked up, and it was 10-7. They blinked twice, and it was 24-7. They blinked again, and they were down 38-14. They couldn't tell you what the hell just happened. You look at the face of Cameron Wake and Ndamukong Suh, they couldn't tell you. They had no clue what just happened. They had no idea. Cameron Wake was checking his gloves on the sideline, trying to pick a piece of grass off his glove. Then he looked at Ndamukong Suh, and they both said, I don't know what the hell's going on. That happened. Dangerous team, man. Now, don't go overboard with this. It was the Dolphins. You're supposed to do this to the Dolphins. But then the Panthers fans will say, well, the Falcons didn't do this to the Dolphins. That's the Falcons. Don't worry about the Falcons. Worry about yourself. Take care of business. And you did that tonight. You got the Jets in your next game. Take care of the Jets. Don't have a letdown game. Take care of the Jets. All you have to do from this point out, if you're the Panthers, is just worry about you. If you take care of business, you'll win the division. The only team that can stop you from winning the division is you. Because you got New Orleans once more. You got New Orleans once more. So you're gonna have a chance to have either the same or better record divisionally than New Orleans. Because New Orleans hasn't played Atlanta at all. If I'm a betting man, they're going to lose one of those games. At least one to Atlanta. You've got a chance to sweep Atlanta. You've already beaten them once. Now, obviously, the hardest part is yet to come. You got to go to the new stadium and go get them. Much like you've got to go to the Superdome and get one from New Orleans. But this team is battle-tested. They know what it takes to go on the road and get one. So I wouldn't count them out of either one of those situations. But New Orleans still has Atlanta twice. They still got you once. And they got Tampa once more. So you got a shot. You got a really good shot at winning this thing. And that's as fascinating a race in the NFC South as there is in football. Because one slip up by the Saints and they could be in second place. A couple of slip ups and the Falcons are knocking on the door. I refuse to count them out because I know this sounds crazy and it should. But and it's starting to change slowly, ever so slowly for me. But I still trust the Falcons more than I trust the Saints or the Panthers. I look at that team and I think it's a more complete team now. I'm telling you right now, after watching the Saints on Sunday and watching them evolve as this season has gone along and watching them turn into a team that can go into your house, run the football, beat you up defensively, and not even really scratch the surface with the passing game because they don't have to. I'm starting to kind of say, look, man, the Saints ain't to be played with, man. And I'm starting to trust them a lot more because I still don't trust Carolina's offense. I still don't trust their offense because it's so heavily predicated on Cam Newton's success. If you can get to Cam, fluster Cam, it could be a long day at the office for the Panthers. We've seen it be that way for them against the Eagles and other teams where they were able to neutralize Cam, not let him run around and make a ton of plays. We've seen them struggle. So, I'm not hype on the skill guys. When I see Kalen Clay, I throw up in my mouth on the field. When I see Shepard on the third down have to be your primary option, I'm lost. When Brinson Burson comes in the game, I'm like, what in the hell is he doing on the field? I have problems with that. I just have a problem believing in his offense. So I look at the Saints and they got weaponry for days. I look at the Falcons, they got weaponry for days. I look at all three of those teams' defenses. Now, I'm totally sold and bought into the Panthers defense, the Falcons defense, and the Saints defense. I think all three of their defenses are legit. Now, if I had to rank them, I trust the Panthers defense more than I trust anybody else's defense in the division. But the Falcons aren't that far behind. They're not that far behind at all. And so I look around and I'm like, man, Birdman hand rub, man. This thing is turning out to be really juicy. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Big game from the Panthers tonight. They dominate. It's not really much. I don't really want to talk too much about the game itself because it wasn't really much to talk about. The Dolphins stink. The Panthers dominated. End of discussion. The end. Offense was outstanding. Defense created turnovers, made plays. Enough said. For the Dolphins, on the bright side, you scored 21 points tonight. Hey, how about that? 21 points on the road on primetime television. On the bad side, you gave up 45. Hey, on a good note, though, TJ McDonald out there hitting folks. Yeah. On a bad note, you gave up a 69-yard run to Cam Newton. Not after you just scored on a touchdown run that was like 65 yards. You can't give up 68 to a quarterback on the next snap. Damn it, man. Boy, the Dolphins stink. Let's get to some comments, man. I've talked enough. All right, let's get to some comments. See what we got going on here, man. Clean Senpai says, one word, damn. CF Coaster says, man, where has this Panthers offense been? That was refreshing as hell. You didn't play the Dolphins every week. That's where the offense has been. We saw a semblance of this against the Lions and Patriots in a 2-week stretch, but even then you weren't running the football effectively. Like, this is more along the lines of Panthers football right here, what we saw tonight. I'll be anxious to see if you do that again against the Jets in a couple of weeks. I believe you got a bye coming up, and then you got the Jets. Don't quote me on that. It may be Jets and then bye, but normally the byes are done by Thanksgiving. So I think last year there was like a couple of byes in week 13. So I don't know. But in any event, I believe you have a bye coming up and then the Jets, whatever the case may be. I'm anxious to see how you play because the Jets, for all of their misgivings offensively, they still play quality defense when it's all said and done. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. But Ed says, our season is over. It's time to prepare for next season. You must be a Dolphins fan. Dark Sealer 1995 says, you can't win a game when you're calling short throws and screens all game. You got a gunslinger quarterback that stinks, but you need to let him be a gunslinger to stand a chance. That's on Gaze. I think he understands that if I cut Jay loose, Jay is going to actually go loose and buck wild. You saw what he did right before the half when he tried to cut Jay loose? Two of the worst footwork quarterbacks we've ever seen in NFL history played in the game tonight. But they just happen to also be two of the strongest arm quarterbacks. Strong arm quarterbacks don't need great footwork to get the football where they want to get the football. And that's part of the reason their footwork is so bad. And you saw Jay Cutler falling back, fading away. How many times was Kenny Stills open on the left sideline, running a dragging route or an over route or a shallow cross, wide open by the sideline, and Jay Cutler either airmailed him by 5 yards or shorter hopped him by 2. How many times we see that tonight? And then when they tried to cut him loose before the half, what did he do? Threw a pick. Hey, Adam Gase isn't stupid, man. Gase said, look, I had this man in Chicago. I know his limitations. I know what he's capable of. And I know if I tell Jay, hey, go out there and cut it loose, he's going to throw 3 picks. He understands that. His best way of getting this offense into a rhythm is the short passing game early. And as that evolves, then you start pushing the football down the field. Problem was Carolina wasn't going for the short passing game tonight. Unlike the Raiders, where they were able to use the short passing game to open up things down the field, and that got Jay going a little bit, Panthers said, nah. Either you won't push that thing down the field or you won't get no offense tonight. And when he tried to push it down the field, he threw a pick. Dark Sealer 1995 says, Gaze is called an offensive play calling genius because he coached Manning, but Manning audibled out of Gase's plays. Ricky L says, want to see $10 million of what of trash looks like? Look at Jay Cutler. Ed says, we shouldn't have run the ball before the half. He said, we should have run the ball before the half. Same old Jay, though. Damn, I missed Ryan Tannehill. Ricky L says, the thing about the Saints, though, is they're winning without Breeze tearing it up, which is surprising. I've said the last couple of weeks, that's the scary part. It really dawned on me this week, though, because they did it before against Detroit. That was more of the defense creating turnovers. I think the defense had like 2 or 3 turnovers for touchdowns in that game. But also, Ingram was just a stud in that game. Went over 100 yards. Breeze didn't throw for 200. And they scored like 52 points in that game. But this game was different because while the defense was good, it wasn't creating a bunch of turnovers and short fields. This was just pure dominance. And they did it on the ground. Like, the vast majority of it was on the ground. That's scary. Dark Sealer 1995 says the Dolphins fight song is the Benny Hill theme. Ed says, our defense was trash tonight, giving up tons of runs. Yeah. Rick, I don't know what the one chip challenge is, man. So you got me on that one. Archangel says, wow, our division, the NFC South, has to be one of the, if not the toughest divisions in the league. Division sweep. Nah, man, it ain't one of the toughest. It is the toughest. What are you talking about? Even though the Buccaneers single-handedly are trying to pull this division down, with the 3 teams at the top of that division that exists, there's not another division that can rival what the NFC South has going on. And is it a coincidence that before the season, we all agreed that the best divisional quarterback talent resided in the South? So is it a coincidence that we look up at the division with the best quarterback talent, top to bottom, and that's your best division in football? It's not a coincidence. It really isn't. You look at every other division, and there's at least 1 or 2 teams with bum-ass quarterbacks that are struggling in the division, holding the division back as a whole. Okay? Go around the league, every division, there's at least one. At least one team in there somewhere. Even Tampa Bay with Jameis Winston, they have a franchise quarterback. Now, they're struggling in a number of areas, but top to bottom, that division is loaded at quarterback. The last 2 MVPs in the league reside in that division. I mean, it's not a coincidence to me. Cloud says, do the Dolphins miss Ajayi? No, they were funky with him. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Ajayi wouldn't have scored on the run tonight. That was all pure, unadulterated spit by Drake. Ajayi doesn't score there. No, they don't miss Ajayi. They just stink. They stunk before the trade. They stink after the trade. K. Francis says, let's go Panthers. Impressive team game from my Cats. Francis says, hope Curtis Samuel is okay. Yeah, me too, man. That looked nasty on the ankle. He couldn't put any weight on it. Yeah, man. I hate to see guys go down like that. Reese says, damn, Lou, I feel pretty good about playing the Dolphins on Sunday with a performance like this. You should, but that's gonna be an ugly game. That game's in Tampa, right? I think it's in Tampa. You probably should win that game. Isaac Schnook says, you know you're bad when you let Jonathan Stewart get $110. Yeah, you stink. I mean, Jonathan's best days are behind him. Has no business getting $1 on anybody. And they let that man, and it wasn't like a 25 for 110 buck. This was like a 15 for $110. Like, Jonathan at one point was averaging 8 a pop on these boys. Jonathan might have finished with 17 for $110, man. It was a clean, efficient $110 too. Nasty. Reese says, it was 10-7. I went to my kitchen to get a snack and it was 24-7. And that, my friends, is the Jay Cutler effect, along with a funky defense. Dark Sealer 1995 says, it's confirmed that the Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns are being moved to college football so they stand a chance. They will compete for the Taco Bell Bowl, Lou. Hey, man, you a damn ass for that one. Reese says, Lou, I can't believe how fast Cam was on that big one. Me neither. I was like, all right, who gonna come get him? I said, who coming to get this man? And their fastest player on the field, Cordrea Tankersley, who runs like a 4.4 flat, it took him about a good 20 to catch him. Cam was looking up at the big screen like, is somebody coming? Is somebody coming to get me? Is somebody coming to get me? Somebody please come and get me. I'm tired. Somebody come get me. Cam was about to go. Much faster than slow. I'm like, where the rest of the defense at? Somebody come get this man. Cam was hauling ass. But that's that 6'5", long stride for your ass right there. Damn it, man. FBG Tony says, the Dolphins suck. Yes, they do. He says, can we never see them again this season? Jay Cutler is absolutely mediocre. Receivers don't make enough plays. Defense is inconsistent as an MF. And these MFers are bums. Well, we got them once more, so saddle up. Later on in the season, Dolphins, Patriots. You should be excited for that one. Reese says, I wish Cam had a better personality. I'd respect him a lot more. Well, you don't have to like him to respect him. Okay? You know what the man is on the field. That's what you need to respect. You don't have to like the guy off the field. But on the field, the dude's a beast. And you must respect him as such. I wish he had better supporting cast. He'd be even better. That's what I wish. All right. See where we at now. Here we go. Young Mello says, my Panthers look good tonight. They did. Absolutely. James Dial says, Carolina kept pounding and pounding and pounding their ass tonight. John Perez says, sorry I missed most of your videos today and yesterday. Do you believe the Vikings can make a deep playoff run with the big bad defense they have? I think it's possible. But they're going to have to be better than they were on Sunday versus the Redskins. They weren't that good defensively, honestly, in that game. Was not impressed with their defense at all in the Redskins game. And so if they play more like the team that we've seen throughout the season that's not giving up a ton of points or yards, yeah, they're definitely a dangerous team. 3-11 Atlas says, just wanted to say, hashtag, that's that Dolphin shit. I didn't even need it tonight. I mean, you guys know what time it is. Reese says, I don't understand how a team expects to advance the ball down the field when they keep throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. It's impetuous. That's their way of that's their operators Mirandi. If I said that right. That's their mode of operation, basically, is what that means. That's how they move the football in Adam Gase's offense. If you're familiar with Adam Gase, going back to his days as an offensive coordinator with the Bears, especially with Jay Cutler at the helm, that's exactly how their offense functioned. A lot of quick game, a lot of hitches and screens, a lot of football coming out of the quarterback's hand quickly. It's what he does. So this shouldn't be a surprise to most of you if you're familiar with what Adam Gase is as a play caller. FBG Tony says the Panthers have obliterated the Miami Dolphins. They A-Town stomped them in North Carolina, waving their Petey Pablo flags like it's 0-2 with baggy jeans. Let's see. He also says Panthers pissed and neutered the Dolphins' face. No filter or any respect. LOL. John Perez says, my girlfriend's aunt is a Dolphins fan, so she's probably not too happy right now. She hasn't been happy for most of the season. Michael Thompson says, Panthers have a black quarterback, white running back, and a Hispanic coach. Hashtag diversity. Don't you just love that? Atlas says, you talked at length about the CMC Samuel picks during draft day. How have they fit in with the Panthers team? It's a work in progress. I think they're starting to realize what McCaffrey is. And they're getting him the football. They're getting him his adequate amount of touches. I still think they could do a better job of moving him around, putting him out in routes because, like I said, he's a glorified wide receiver. They still don't know what to do with Curtis Samuel, though. They're still trying to figure him out. And this injury that he sustained tonight, not going to really help him continue to get better. But we'll see what happens. Vegeta's Dark Side says, Vikings got the better end of the Redskins. Jay Gruden knows how to slice Zimmer's defense. Always a struggle against the Skins. John Perez says, this loss is that Dolphin shit, isn't it? Yeah and no. It is, but this is the Dolphin shit that you expect. When it's that Dolphin shit, it's when you don't expect it. Like, if they would have won tonight, that would have really been that Dolphin shit. Because at the time when you count them out the most, that's generally when they step up and come out of nowhere with a performance that you didn't see coming. And when you expect them to win or at least be competitive, that's when they lay an egg. Like, I didn't expect them to be competitive tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought they were going to get beat handily. I didn't think it was going to get to 45-21 at the end of the game. But I thought it was going to be something like 13, 30-17 at the end of the game, something to that effect, where the score doesn't necessarily reflect how bad of a loss it was. You know, they get a garbage time touchdown. They were trailing 30-10 for most of the third and fourth quarter and get a garbage time touchdown to make it 30-17 at the end. But if you watch the game, you know they were never close. I thought it was going to be something like that. I didn't think they would get their, brains bashed in 45-21, but it is what it is. Sean Mack says, I went 12-2 this week. Either I'm in second place or I got the crown. You still outside the top 10, bro? Hashtag nothing but love. Hashtag LOL. I probably am. I made some picks that I do regret this week, but I felt good about the picks. I don't regret any. Like last week, I regretted picks. I don't regret any picks. I just thought teams could come up, in the clutch for me. I think I'm not sure what I did. I think I went 9-5. I think something like that. 8-6, 9-5, something in that realm. I shall return. I'm not worried yet. Still a lot of football left to be played. And I think some good things are going to happen for me in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to make my power move here in the next couple of weeks. Reese says, every time the Dolphins get a speck of momentum, they diarrhea all over the bed. Yeah, that was probably the most disappointing part of the game was when they get the run from Drake for the touchdown to cut it to 31-14, and you're thinking, okay, get a stop, and maybe you can cut into this lead and make it a game, and right off the bat, they give up the run to Cam, and it's just like, wow, are you serious? FBG Tony says, Cam is OD. He says, CMC is now getting touches, and that defense is ridiculous. Panthers, Falcons, NFC Championship, book it. I don't know about that, man. You counting a lot of teams out with that one. We'll see. But in any event, it's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Monday Night Football Overtime. Panthers destroy the Carolina Panthers. Let's get the official final score for this one. I'd like to think 45-21 was the final score, but you can never be too sure of these things. Could have been another touchdown at the end. Yep, 45-21. Destroy them. And just for the sake of saying, let's check the Panthers' schedule to see what they got going on. I know they got the Jets next. So they got their bye week next. Come off the bye at the Jets, then at the Saints, then home for the Vikings. So, yes, shit is about to get real for them as well. Then home for the Packers, which that seemed like a much tougher game a month ago. And who knows? By that time, maybe Aaron Rodgers is back. If the Packers are still in the playoff hunt, he may be back by then. Then home for the Bucks, and then at the Falcons to finish up the season. So their schedule gets a little tough here. I wasn't aware of the fact that they had to play the Vikings as well. I wasn't aware that they had to play that entire division. So they got to play the whole NFC North. And they haven't had the best luck in that division this year, having already lost to the Bears. And the Lions, they beat the Lions in Detroit. So it'll be interesting to see. Home for the Vikings, at the Saints, at the Jets, in the next two, at the Jets, at the Saints, the next two. So they're on the road for the next 2 weeks after the bye. Then home for the Vikings and Packers and Bucks. So 3 straight home games, and then they finish up on the road at Atlanta. That could have playoff implications written all over it at Atlanta on Christmas Eve, or on New Year's Eve. So that is it's quite a schedule there. That's going to be a good finish. I talked about let's check the Saints schedule real quick, and then the Falcons real quick, and then we'll get out of here. So I want to check the Saints schedule because I want to see who has the best shot at winning it. And obviously, you can't predict these things on who's going to do what teams are going to be playing for what at that point of the season. You never know these things. But I'm fascinated with this division. I really am, because they should conceivably have 3 teams in the playoffs when it's all said and done. They probably should, but I don't think they will. there will be a team that may get left out when it's all said and done. But I tell you this much. They deserve 3 teams. With the way all 3 of the teams in their division are playing at this moment. With the Falcons just getting on board. But nonetheless, I still think the Falcons are a really good football team. So the Saints are home for the Redskins this week, at the Rams the following week, home for the Panthers the week after that, at the Falcons, home for the Jets, home for the Falcons, at the Bucs. So I feel like their path, the Saints' path, is a little bit easier. Should be able to take care of the Redskins this week. Should be able to take care of the Jets at home. Should be able to take care of the Buccaneers in the season finale. 2 against the Falcons. Got to at least get one of those. And then you got the Panthers and the Rams. Rams on the road, Panthers at the crib. I'd like to think that they're going to get at least one of those 2 games. So assuming they take care of the Redskins, let's say they split Saints and Panthers or Rams and Panthers. Say they get one of those. That's 2-1. Let's say they split with the Falcons. That's 3-2. Beat the Jets, 4-2. Beat the Bucs, 5-2 down the stretch. You're looking at a team that's going to finish up the season at 12-4. That's going to be pretty tough to beat in that division. Whereas you look at let's go back to the Panthers schedule real quick and look at what they got. They got the Jets on the road. I assume they'll be able to take care of business there. That's not going to be easy, but I assume they're going to take care of the business there. Then they're at the Saints and home for the Vikings. Let's assume they split those in half. Let's say they get one of those, right? That's 2-1. Then let's say they beat the Packers at home. That's 3-1. They beat the Bucs at home, 4-1. Lose to the Falcons in the season finale. That's 5 or let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 4-2 down the stretch. That would put them at 11-5 for the season. So just looking at it, and again, it's hard to say, but let's get to the Falcons quickly. They got the most work to do out of these 2 teams. Obviously, those 2 teams already having 7 wins on the season. Falcons right now at 5-4. They've got the most work to do, and the smallest margin for error. At the Seahawks, that's a winnable game, but it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Then you're home for the Bucs, home for the Falcons, home for the Saints, at the Bucs, at the Saints, home for the Panthers. Their schedule's pretty tough when I look at it. Even though they've got a ton of home games down the stretch, they finish up with 1, 2, 3, 4 out of their final 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 out of their final 6 games are at home. So if they just take care of home. All right, so let's go through this quickly. Falcons on the road against Seattle. I really think they can win that game. Seattle's no longer invincible at home. But let's just count that as a loss. I think they can win that game, though, but let's count it as a loss. Then they go home and beat the Bucs. Go home and let's say they get one out of the 2 versus the Vikings and Saints at home in back-to-back weeks. Let's say they get one of those. So you're 2-2 at that point. Then you finish up with the Bucs on the road. You should get that one, 3-2. Saints on the road and Panthers at home. Let's say you take one of those. So they're looking like out of their final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4-3, which would put them at 9-7. I don't even think that's good enough to get in the playoffs in the NFC. So they're going to have to start playing extra special football if they want to make it to the playoffs. They need to go at least 5-2 down the stretch in order to ensure that they make the playoffs. 10 wins, I think, is what it's going to take to get you in the NFC. So that's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Monday Night Football overtime. Panthers dominate the Miami Dolphins 45-21. It was a coming out party of sorts for this Panthers offense. They ran it. Cam threw it. They were dominant defensively. This is the type of game that they want to bottle up and moving forward, unleash week after week the remainder of the season. We'll see if this was an aberration because of the opponent or if this is what the Panthers are going to be moving forward and they're starting to hit their stride and mojo. We'll find out very quickly off the bye with some tough games, including on the road at the Jets. Sounds easy, but it's much easier sounding than it actually is. So we'll see what happens there. But nonetheless, dominant performance tonight by the Panthers as they win 45-21, go to 7-3 on the season, now heading into their bye week on a very high note. For the Dolphins, they finally are under 500 for the first time this season, where they rightfully belong at 4-5. And I don't see them getting up off the canvas after this one. This might have been the final knockout blow to a season that was heading down the toilet for quite some time. I think they may finally start to see the bottom of their season drop out. And maybe we start hearing some questions and some rumblings and grumblings about Adam Gase in that locker room as well. As he's been calling out his team, maybe you have some players start to fire back at him. I don't know. That thing could turn ugly in Miami with these types of losses. I can't wait to hear what Adam Gase had to say after the game, because normally he's a good soundbite after an ass whooping. If you want to hear a coach pretty much say everything that is on his mind, go to Adam Gase after one of these ass whoopings. He'll tell you exactly how he feels. So I'm pretty anxious to get my hands on what he said after this game to see just how he's feeling after another ass whooping on primetime television for the world to see. In any event, that's going to do it for your man Louie T. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything National Football League. I'll see you for the Redskins report tomorrow, Wednesday, winners and losers. And I'll start trickling out that exclusive content to those who have signed up for it. And so be on the lookout for the Power Index, which is my power rankings. Be on the lookout for Teed Up. Be on the lookout for The List, among other shows. All of those may be coming your way this week. Power rankings should be out tomorrow, as now we have every single game from week 10 in the books. So be on the lookout for the power rankings at some point, either tomorrow or Wednesday, and all the other videos will follow accordingly. So in any event, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to Louie T Network, donate to the channel. That's how you do it right there via Patreon or PayPal. Those links that you see in front of you, they are also down below in the description. So is the link to the video that I did on Patreon on how you can earn additional content on this channel. So check all of that stuff out. All of it is down in the description below this and every single video I do. For me, Louie T, thank you for joining me on this program. And for all of you out there, thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you throughout the week. Have a good one.